Ah, my darlings, do forgive my lateness, but when powerful men believe they've already won, they grow careless, and I do so hate to interrupt a good delusion too early. Today's whisper drifts through Hawksmere like perfume over rot. Contracts have been signed, smiles exchanged, and hope, sweet, foolish hope, has been poured generously for the masses. The people believe salvation has arrived on iron wheels, wrapped in parchment and promises, but those of us who read between the clauses know better. Because when grace periods end, gambits begin, and when men like Master Vane bow, it is never without counting how many necks remain beneath their boots. In this chapter, we watch Lady Alianor do something exquisitely dangerous. She says yes, but not in surrender. No, my loves. She says yes the way a chess player sacrifices a piece, fully aware of what must bleed in order to win the board. A keeper is named, a gate is locked, and the wolves, oh, they are invited politely inside. Pour something dark, lean in close. This is the keeper's gambit, and the house is already watching.
Chapter 3, The Keeper's Gambit. The final day of Master Vane's grace period dawned brittle and bright, a cruel parody of clarity. The revelation in the Greythorn ruins had not freed Alianor. It had trapped her in a narrower, more terrifying cage. Knowledge was not power here. It was a sharper lens on their doom. She saw the trap, with perfect, chilling detail. The Syndicate's ancient financial roots, its cold ambition to harness the green fire, its patient, decades-long cultivation of the de Mowbray tyranny as a tool. To say no was to choose a proud, swift starvation. To say yes was to sign a covenant with the architects of Eamon Thorne's murder and become the custodians of their monstrous machine. There was no good choice. There was only a path of thorns and a road of ashes. So, as the weak sun climbed, Alianor made her decision. She would not choose either of their roads. She would forge a third, and she would walk it directly into the lion's mouth, the Council of the Cornered. She called the Inner Council to the Solar One last time, before the hour of answer. The atmosphere was thick with the residue of the night's dread. Tom looked exhausted, his steward's mind having calculated and recalculated every variable, only to arrive at zero. Father Clement's face was etched with a spiritual anguish, as if he were watching a beloved church be repurposed for a blasphemous rite. Len radiated a smoldering, helpless fury. Eamon stood by the hearth, not warming himself, but staring into the low flames as if seeking a prophecy in the coals. The green-veined rock was a cold weight in the pouch at his belt. "We have until midday," Alianor began, her voice stripped of all ornament. "Vane will return for our answer. We now know what that answer cannot be. It cannot be a simple refusal. That is suicide, and it cannot be a simple acceptance. That is a slower, more profound death for everything this land is." "Then what in God's name is left?" Len burst out, slamming a fist against the stone wall. "Do we wave a white flag and ask for better terms?" He'll laugh. "We do not ask," Alianor said, a dangerous light kindling in her eyes. "We dictate. We use the only leverage we have left, the very thing he wants. The land's secrets, its dangers, its unstable nature." She turned her gaze to Eamon. "He wants to dig, to probe, to build his mechanism. But he is a stranger here. The earth that answered our call could just as easily swallow his investment whole. He needs a guide, not a servant, a keeper." Eamon looked up, understanding dawning like a cold sunrise. "You want me to be the guide." "I want you to be the gatekeeper," she corrected. "The master of terrain. A title we write into his contract. No pick breaks earth, no shaft is sunk, no stone is laid for his machine without your approval. Your word on the land's stability and safety is final." Father Clement gasped. "You would put him in their direct path? It is throwing a lamb to wolves with a ceremonial ribbon around its neck." "Is it?" Alianor's voice was sharp. Or is it putting a wolf in charge of the sheepfold? They see a mystic, a charcoal burner with superstitions. They will patronize him, try to circumvent him. But the contract will be law. Every time they try to push past him, they break their own agreement. It gives us a legal, moral, and very public weapon. More importantly, she looked at Eamon with absolute faith, it gives him the authority to slow them to a crawl, to declare entire swathes of the hollow geologically sacred or prone to catastrophic venting, to bury them in the minutiae they claim to master. Tom was nodding slowly, the strategist in him wrestling with the steward. It's a delaying action, a way to turn their own love of procedure against them. We trade a swift defeat for a protracted, intricate stalemate. We buy time. Time for what? Len asked, skeptical. Time to find a real solution, Alianor said, though she had no idea what that solution could be. Time to understand the power we woke. Time to learn its language, as Eamon says. Time is the only currency we can spend that they cannot immediately control. She looked at each of them. This is the Gambit. We say yes. We smile. We accept their food, their tools, their promise of peace. And we embed the one man who understands the true cost of their progress at the very heart of their operation. We make the Thorne the keeper of the gate they wish to unlock. The room was silent, save for the crackle of the fire. It was a plan of breathtaking risk and subtlety. It required acting a part more complex than any they had played before. The grateful beneficiary, the cooperative partner, while waging a secret war of bureaucratic obstruction and spiritual defense. Eamon finally spoke. They will try to break me, to buy me, or discredit me, or simply have me meet with an accident in a dark tunnel. I know, Alianor said, her voice soft but fierce, which is why you will never be alone. Tom will handle the logistics, the flow of their supplies. We will know everything that comes in. Bess and the others will watch the people for whispers and bought loyalties. And you, she stepped closer to him, you will have to be smarter, harder, and more inscrutable than you have ever been. You must speak their language of strata and substrates while listening to the land's older tongue. You must be the unassailable expert. He held her gaze, and in his wintry eyes, she saw no fear, only a grim, determined acceptance. He was a man who had lived his life in the shadow of the Syndicate's earlier crime. Now, he would stand in its light. Then I will be the keeper, he said, and I will keep what is mine. The signing. Master Silas Vane returned just before noon, as precise as a clockwork automaton. This time, he brought a small entourage. His clerk, Arlo, a severe woman introduced as Master Gilda, a surveyor, and two quiet, observant men whose eyes missed nothing. The theater was deliberate. He wanted witnesses to his benevolence and to their acquiescence. The meeting was held in the Great Hall, before the assembled people of Hawksmere. The air was thick with desperate hope and simmering anxiety. These people had survived hell. They now craved heaven, even a small gilded one. Vane understood this. He stood with humble dignity, the picture of the reasonable savior. Alianor played her part. She stood on the dais, dressed not in mourning but in simple, clean wool, her hair braided back. She looked like a pragmatic steward, weary of war and ready for peace. People of Hawksmere, she announced, her voice carrying clearly over the silent crowd. The winter has been long. Our trials have been beyond measure. We have faced enemies without and treachery within, and we have endured. She paused, letting the memory of their suffering hang in the air. Now, we face a different foe, the desolation that follows the storm. Empty larders, broken tools, a future that seems as frozen as the ground. She gestured to Vane. The Carthage Syndicate has offered us not just aid, but a partnership, a chance to rebuild, to plant, to secure our children's future. After deep counsel, I have decided to accept their generous offer. A collective, shuddering sigh of relief swept through the hall. Shoulders slumped not in defeat, but in the release of terrible tension. Eyes glistened with tears of desperate hope. Vane stepped forward, offering a slight gracious bow. The Syndicate believes in the potential of this land and its people. Together, we shall forge a future of prosperity and modern order. Then Alianor raised a hand. The sighing relief paused, held in mid-breath. However, she said, and the word was a door clicking shut on easy hope, the land of Hawksmere is not a blank slate. It has depths with which we have a fraught relationship. It has personalities. To ensure the safety of all, syndicate workers and our own people, and to respect the assets we jointly steward, any survey or exploration beneath the surface must be guided by a master who knows these depths intimately. She turned, gesturing for Eamon to step forward. He did so, not as the outlaw in rough hides, but cleaned and still, his face an impassive mask. Therefore, as a non-negotiable condition of our partnership, I appoint Eamon Thorne, son of Owen Thorne, born of this soil and knower of its bones, as the master of terrain for Hawksmere. No pick shall break earth, no shaft shall be sunk, without his approval and direct supervision. His assessment of the land's stability and safety shall be binding. She turned back to Vane, her expression open, reasonable. You would not sail a strange sea without a pilot who knows its reefs, Master Vane. We cannot let you navigate our land without one who knows its heart. This is for the protection of your investment as much as for our peace. For the first time, a fissure appeared in Vane's polished composure. His flinty eyes flicked to Eamon, assessing, recalibrating. He had expected resistance, perhaps hysterics. He had not expected a counter-proposal wrapped in the impeccable logic of risk management. To refuse would make him seem reckless, dismissive of local expertise, and would shatter the deal in front of the very populace he needed to pacify. To agree meant bringing the one man who truly understood and might fiercely protect the land's secret into the operational heart of his project. The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring. The hall held its breath. Then, Master Vane's lips curved into a cold, thin smile that did not touch his eyes. He inclined his head, a fraction. A prudent stipulation, Lady Alianor. The Syndicate values expertise above all. He said the word expertise, as if it were a quaint artifact. We welcome Master Thorne's unique insights. He turned to his clerk. Arlo, amend the draft. Clause 7b. All subterranean exploration subject to the approval and guidance of the appointed Master of Terrain, Eamon Thorne, whose safety determinations shall be binding. The quill scratched on parchment. The amendment was made. Alianor and Vane stepped to the table. She picked up the quill, its feather trembling only slightly in her grip. She signed her name, Alianor de Clervaux, with a firm black stroke. Vane signed his with elegant, effortless precision. It was done. A hesitant, then swelling cheer rose from the people. They saw their lady secure a position of honor for their hero. They saw food and safety guaranteed. The nightmare, in their eyes, was finally, truly over. Only those closest saw the look that passed between Vane and his surveyor, Master Gilda. It was a look of pure, analytical assessment. The look of a surgeon who has just identified a troublesome nerve to be carefully severed. The first moves. The machinery of the Syndicate engaged with terrifying silent efficiency. Within hours, the closed bridge at Millcote was mysteriously declared repaired. At dawn the next day, a convoy of wagons arrived, disgorging everything promised and more: seed grain, sacks of root vegetables, iron nails and tools, coils of good rope, and even a crate of clucking hens. It was a flood of tangible salvation that left the people dazed, grateful, and pliable. Master Gilda and her team erected a canvas field pavilion just outside the walls, on the very edge of the scarred meadow. It was a symbol of the new order, temporary, efficient, and positioned to study the wound. They brought instruments of polished brass and glass, theodolites and delicate scales, their movements crisp and impersonal. Eamon, as Master of Terrain, presented himself at the pavilion at first light. Alianor walked with him to the gate, her hand on his arm. They will test you today, she said quietly. They will try to overwhelm you with their science, to make you feel like an ignorant peasant. They know rocks as dead things to be measured and broken, Eamon replied, his eyes on the green-striped tent. I know it as a living thing that breathes. We do not speak the same language. That is my advantage. He passed through the gate. Alianor watched him go, her heart a clenched fist in her chest. She had just sent the soul of their resistance into the engine of the enemy, protected by nothing but a clause in a contract. Inside the pavilion, Master Gilda awaited him. She was a woman of sharp angles and sharper eyes, her hair pulled into a ruthless bun. A large map of Hawksmere was already spread on a table, marked with a grid of precise, inked lines. "Master Thorne," she said, her voice devoid of warmth, "our preliminary surface surveys indicate high mineralogical potential in these sectors." She pointed to areas encompassing Thorne's Hollow and the eastern slopes. "We will begin with core sampling, standard percussion drilling. I assume you have no objections to standard methodology?" Eamon walked to the map. He studied it for a long moment, then pointed to a spot in the hollow, away from the carved clearing and the heart of the green presence. "You may drill here. 3 fathoms, no deeper. The substrate is loose shale and scree. It will tell you what you need." Gilda's eyebrow twitched almost imperceptibly. "And why not here?" She pointed a stylus directly at the clearing. "The water table is erratic there. You will flood the borehole and collapse the strata. It is acoustically unstable. The sound is wrong." He offered no data, no jargon, just a flat statement of a danger couched in his own terms. Gilda stared at him, trying to decipher if this was genuine, hyperlocal knowledge, or deliberate, superstitious obstruction. She had no baseline, no way to know. "Very well," she said, her tone tight. "We begin at your approved location, but I must remind you, our work has a schedule. Sentimental attachment to particular landmarks cannot be allowed to impede progress." "Sentiment has nothing to do with it," Eamon said, meeting her gaze squarely. His gray eyes were impenetrable. "Safety does. The land here has a long memory. It is best not to provoke it." He left the tent, feeling the weight of her analytical gaze on his back. The first move was made. He had diverted them, just a few hundred yards. A tiny victory. But as he walked back to the keep, he saw a second wagon being unloaded under Tom's watchful, grim eye. Its contents were not agricultural. He saw long iron rods tipped with complex bits, coils of braided copper wire, and heavy wooden crates marked with symbols he did not recognize, a gear interlocked with a drop of liquid. These were not tools for surveying. They were components. From the battlements, Alianor watched this too. The Gambit was in play. The Thorne was inside the mechanism. But as she saw the strange industrial cargo, a cold certainty settled in her stomach. Vane had agreed to her condition not because he was outmaneuvered, but because he believed any component, even a Thorne, could be integrated into the machine's design, or cleanly sheared off if it proved defective. The game had begun, but as the first strange gears were unloaded onto Hawksmere soil, she understood they were not just playing for time. They were playing for the very definition of what their home would become, and the house always had better odds.
And so, my treasured confidants, the ink dries, but the story most certainly does not. The crowd sleeps easier tonight, bellies full, hearts lightened by the illusion of safety. They cheer wagons and hens, contracts and clauses, never noticing how quietly the real machinery is assembled just beyond the walls. That is always how it begins, prosperity first, then possession. Eamon walks the narrowest of paths now, dressed in authority but marked for dissection. Alianor smiles across the table, knowing full well that men like Vane do not forgive obstacles. They study them, adapt them, and if necessary, remove them. This was not a victory. It was a pause, a breath held too long, a game begun where the stakes are not land or power, but memory, identity, and the right to decide what a home truly is. So rest while you can, my darlings, because the mechanism has tasted soil, and it will want more. Until our next indiscretion, this has been Lady Aurelia Ravenshade, keeping the hours scandalous and the truths deliciously unsafe,